Yeah, so after reviewing the previously released version of this, I came to understand that my music producing abilities are subpar. So I want to just do a bit more of a detailed commentary on what exactly is going on here. So originally I had changed the valve shims out a number of times, 3 times. I've got this valve kit purchased online, and the issue was that it was a hard start. And so what the valve shims are doing are effectively pushing the valve stems or allowing the valve stems to seat properly on the cylinder head. After replacing them 3 times and getting a bit frustrated with having to take the head apart, I decided to buy new valves completely, with the expectation that the valve seats in the head itself were actually wearing away, or the valves were wearing away. And you can see here in this little diagram, because I haven't actually found anything online that sort of provides an example, but underneath the valve lifting caps are these shims, and so as the cams rotate around, they're effectively ensuring that the valve stems or the valves are seated properly. But again, it's a symptom of a bigger underlying issue. And so here you can see that as the valves are seating into the head, they're wearing away at the valves. And so at a certain point, nothing that you do on the shim side is going to help. And so this is just the process of replacing the valves. So what does one need to do this job? You need the valve spring compressing kit. You need a set of metric feeler gauges. You need the valve kit, obviously. I installed a new piston with the kit. The shim kit was something that I already bought and was using. And you need a cylinder honing tool. This one was cheap. Got it from Canadian Tire. I ended up actually putting a sheet of sandpaper in the cylinder itself, and then using this tool to sand out to that crosshatch pattern, and other tools such as a torque wrench and a set of vernier calipers to measure bits and pieces. Online, there are a number of ways that this can be done. But the most important thing is to clean everything while it's apart, because the chances of you doing this twice is very slim. And so you need to sand the head and make sure that the surfaces are clean and mated using 220, 400, and 1000 grit wet dry sandpaper. So first of all is disassembly, taking the guides, a couple of which were stuck. And while I did actually note the shims here at this stage, I ended up having to redo it at the end anyways, with everything installed. So here you can see I'm grinding away with the original valves in place, and that's just to keep all the crap out of the intake and exhaust ports. And then using a block, just making sure that it's flat in multiple directions. And again, doing the same with the cylinder casing and the actual head itself on both sides. There's different ideologies for sanding. I just found having a smaller block and crisscrossing and using a straight edge to make sure that it was flat worked quite well. I also cleaned the outside of the case. Oh, and this is the other specialized tool required, which is the honing tool. And here I use the default, and this is just a Canadian Tire special honing tool with hard sanding pads. But what I actually did was wrapped in sandpaper into the bore itself, the cylinder, and sanded it to get that nice crisscross hatch. And here I am making sure that the rings fit and have the proper tolerances, which I think is 1/20,000th of an inch, 20 thousandths of an inch. All the other rings were good except for the last one, which I ground down. So here you can see that I am taking out the valves using the tool, and I've got a split carpenter workmate bench here, which is actually working quite well because the valve removal tool can sit at an angle below while the head sits flat, allowing you a stable surface to work on. So easy enough to get things out. I had a pair of tweezers, magnet, and forceps. Removed all the objects. And once the spring retaining clips were removed, I was able to remove the valves. And you'll see here how absolutely worn the actual valves were, confirming my hypothesis that it was the valves that needed replacing. I'm sure people who know these engines or have done this before are well aware of this, but this was a learning process, and I didn't see anything specifically on the requirement to address the valves and not just the shims. Let's compare old versus new. So I don't know if you can see this, but the lip on the old one, this guy, it's almost inverted. Like on this one, there's a nice straight profile. I'm gonna say, right, because this is the moment of truth, is the shimming issue to do with the valves, as they say it should be, right? Old versus new. I would say almost categorically yes. Look at the difference in the profile there. Like the new one, it's actually got two chamfers. The old one is concave. So, and then on the fuel side's not bad actually, but I mean the difference is friggin' night and day. So I'm gonna say this is looking like a win. This is probably gonna solve the hard start issue. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, not as bad on the exhaust side, but that is a stark contrast. And that's not even the bad one. So let's take a look. That's that. So this is the guy in question. Right? This is the new one. This is the old one. I don't know if you can see that, but like I can actually feel an indented lip on that. So once we grind these or lap them, and oh man, this is freaking sweet. We're gonna be cooking with gas, right? So let's just take a little plunger and take our Canadian Tire friggin' lapping compound, eh? Canadian Tire, more like friggin' weekend warrior. This guy's a friggin' weekend warrior. Oh, valve grinding compound. Am I supposed to shake this? Why the hell is it so liquidy? Yeah, that's not cool. Okay there, Canadian Tire. You get what you pay for, I guess, there, eh? Alright, eh? Let's friggin' get her done. Ooh, that sounds nice. Grasshopper. Okay, now what we're looking for a properly lapped valve is that. Right, there we go. Valves are polished and ground. Head's flat. I'll show you. I'll put a still picture in, but the old valve, concave, like friggin'. The old valve, I don't know if you can see the profile there. That is supposed to be 90 and 45, and that's actually concave. So I'm going to say almost 100% that is our issue. So forget the shims, forget the Band-Aid solution. Let's fix the root of the problem. Now, next step is going to be getting the springs in. So just a pair of forceps, pull the valve seal. got a little spring retainer which goes up, and okay, I'm going to just make one note here. If you're using the proper tool, which this is, the easiest way to get these collets in, right, they're two halves at an angle, so they got to wedge in, is to compress fully to expose the encapsulated end of the valve, right, because there's a little groove in each of the collets, and if you try to do one at a time, it's just not going to work. So you've got to bust it right down there and then get them in proper alignment and then back off. Otherwise it's just impossible. It will not work. So there we go. That's one done. Alrighty then, so valves are all back together. So I think we're ready to put it back in, but I'm going to take a look at the carburetor, just make sure that that's tickety-boo, and then good to go. So after it's all back together, at this point I put in a preliminary set of shims, knowing full well that I'd have to go back in and readjust the shims once I have cycled the engine. I installed the new piston, cylinder head and sleeve and the heads. And so, yeah, I did actually change out the shims. The engine ran for as much fuel was in the carburetor, so for about 30 seconds. So I know that the shims and the valves and everything work. There is some issue with the carburetor, and it's a tired carburetor. It's old. I've ordered another one. You know, I'm going to go out there and see if I can adjust the float today, but I'll have an updated video with the completed engine back together with everything buttoned up. But right now it's just incredibly cold out, and I don't really want to mess with making another video. As far as video making, I haven't been. I'm quite busy. I've got a number of other projects, so I just wanted to say I do appreciate the people who have subscribed. I know there's the obligatory request for subscriptions. I'm not really here for money. This is just a diary of stuff that I'm doing, and if it helps, then send me a like, I guess. I think after 1,000 subscribers, there's some sort of monetary benefit to doing this, but right now, as a YouTube creator, it takes quite a bit of time to make these videos, and there's no real payback other than, you know, tracking this stuff for my own purposes. But hopefully it helps you, and hopefully you don't find me too annoying. I have removed the music with the understanding that I need to stick to one thing, and music's not it. So hope you enjoy and maintain those perimeters, I guess. Here, overseas, I don't know. Whose perimeters are we maintaining? It's pick a perimeter, maintain it.
20 foot per second residual, that is probably due to downtrack error.
Roger, we concur with the logic.